Hello, good afternoon everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'd like to welcome everyone to a workshop on smartboards, or as we will see later on, hopefully also smart screens. The difference being that one, the former, uses the projector, the latter does not. What we are about to show you today, and by we I mean Loli and Francisco, is how smartboards capacities could be used in language instruction in a way that would hopefully maximize what these devices have to offer, but also just make sense from a pedagogical standpoint. This is an interactive presentation, at least a part of it is, so if you are so inclined and if you do have Wi-Fi enabled devices, I would recommend or invite you to go to menti.com, and when prompted for a code, feel free to use 929790. This will be on top of the screen all the time, so you can join whenever you want. It's going to stay there.
Well, just in case.
Okay, it will not disappear. Okay, so let's start with a question, and it's going to be a pretty simple question. Do you use a smart board or a smart screen in your classroom?
Define use.
Define use. No, it's very good point. If there is a smart screen or smart board,
that's a better question.
Well, if there isn't one, then you don't use it.
I answered.
You answered? Okay. By the show of hands, let me know when you're done answering, or if you don't feel like answering or can't answer. No. Okay, it's about half and half. Is that a question? Oh no, you're just indicating that you're done answering. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so more people are not using than are using within.
Well, I don't have a smart screen.
So you're not using it?
No.
Okay, perfect. I mean, not perfect, but that would be the answer. Okay, that was the easy question. And it's good to know that Mentimeter works. Now, if you do use it, why do you use it? If you don't use it, why not?
Just coincidence, mentir is Spanish for to lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
What was that?
Mentir is to lie. Yes, don't lie.
It's like a lie
You're
detecting.
using the lie measure.
Yeah.
Don't have one.
Don't talk. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so far, one person responded that he or she, okay, I don't use it for real, just as a projector.
Yeah.
I don't seem to manage when I have it useful for showing grammar points. Classrooms don't have a smart board, smart screen. Do we have any other contributions? I'm intrigued by this answer. I don't use it for real.
That's basically me.
I haven't had to use it because I need to learn how it would enrich my classes. Okay, it does things when I touch it.
Oh yeah, I love
It does
that.
things when I touch it.
I agree.
Because there are no smart words in most
You
classrooms.
said that? Yeah.
Okay, so it seems to me, and feel free to keep contributing if you can, if you want. It seems to me that for those of us who don't use the smart board, don't use it simply because there is none in the room where we're teaching. For those of us who do use it, there's a projector. We are maybe not sure about capacity. Some of us are use it to show useful grammar points, and this is something that we will also explore later in this presentation. But out of sort of these answers, there are two conclusions that emerge. We either don't have a smart board, or we do have a smart board. If we do have a smart board, we use it as basically a very extensive projector, or in a capacity that doesn't really extend beyond a whiteboard. Which is okay, and this is the reason why we are here today. And the point of this workshop is to show precisely what a smartboard can do, what does it offer, how does it expand beyond an expensive projector or a whiteboard, perhaps maybe how it combines the different affordances of these analog technologies into something that is more creative, more pedagogically useful. Not trained to use it, don't understand benefits of a traditional chalkboard. Don't. Okay. So in order to, well, maybe not lose more, let's just move on with the presentation. Today we have Francisco and Emily, who will show us some of the things that a smartboard can do. The remainder of this workshop, of this presentation, will be Loli's presentation, then Francisco will talk to us about how to use grammar, and then later on, if time permits, we will work in groups on trying to maybe converting some of the traditional low-key textbooks activities into something that's smartboard related. Okay?
Okay. So I created this, or I have this presentation about the smartboards. I was using smartboards as a student and then as an instructor, Spanish instructor. And for me, it changed like a lot. To have a smartboard in my class, it means something else. It means something else that we can use and that is different or makes my class different from the traditional classrooms. Why? Because we can interact with the board in a way that we weren't able to do it before, because we can write directly in the book. And for me, this is the main difference. I have asked other teachers about the advantages of the smartboard, and sometimes they go to workshops and they learn how to use very difficult technology and they don't use it again. What's the main advantage? Is this interaction for me that makes the class more dynamic. Yeah, I think that I am faster when using a book or an online web page. When I change things, for example, when I listen to something, I can write the answers in here. I don't have to go here. So I just write directly on the book or on the web page. That's the main thing. And another thing that for me is nice for every language teacher is that in the classroom sometimes we correct the oral of the students, but what about the writing? When they write sometimes, what do we do with that? Do we correct it in the class? So the smartboard allows us to do that in a real class, and every time we teach, maybe even if it is for 10 minutes. So we can interact, it's more dynamic, and it promotes activities that allow us to move in the classroom. So when we interact, the students can interact and we are not sat during the whole classroom. And that for me is a key point as well. And my students said, it's more healthy because they move more. So this is, and now I am like, I cannot move it because this is a block. Yeah, well, we have the mouse, but this is an activity that is from a book. So when the students, they do it at home, they have to write the accents. So when they come to the class, I ask them, okay, now you have to get up and to write the accents. So we correct it directly in here and we see the results. Or I just can do it writing the accents in here. If I want to read, you say it and I write it, and so you see it, and you are sure that the exercise is correct because you can see it, no? And for example, sometimes in Spanish they do things like this, and you can see that they are making a mistake. So it's more clear. I don't know if yes.
So were you using a special whiteboard pen there, or just a normal normal?
This is a smartboard, and it has these pencils.
So that's an electronic pen.
It's an
not-
electronic,
yeah.
and we just have 3 or 4, or I don't know how many at Columbia, but they are not in every classroom. And when we are showing something, when we are presenting something, it's very easy to to say, hey, pointing and pay attention to this. Because when you go to the traditional board, you cannot make the connection in between what you are explaining and what you are writing. It's like separate things. And when you are through material, it's better when you give an example to show it and to point out and to write in it. So yes, this is special.
So in your building, you have many classes equipped with
We don't have many, no.
So only here? Or?
In
Here, next door, next door.
So 2 or 3?
Some,
Luis Sanders,
some,
at least.
yes, some
Okay.
of them.
Oh, in Luis.
What happens that there are some, there are not many, so the teachers don't know how to use it. And I was here last semester, and the teacher who came here, he said, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to ask for a change. So he or she, I don't remember, she didn't want it. And I was like, what? Why not? Because it's very, convenient. Okay. And I move on because I have a couple of examples, a couple of videos. So this is what I do. This is how my class looks like with this exercise that you have seen. No, this is the same example.
1 a 1, tenemos que 1 a 1 porque no podemos coger móvil, móvil.
What you see is that the students are more active in these classes. It's not just the teacher, okay, the answers are this. No? So you, okay, go to the
Love your
board
teacher
and
voice.
show it. What?
Your teacher voice. Okay, the answer.
Another thing is that we don't interact just with the book or with the web page. Now that we have multimodal materials, this classroom, this smartboard, works better with this, with the activities that are multimodal and that are interactive. Why? Because what you can see now.
Supongo que la gente consciente de que existen muchos problemas medioambientales. Yo soy. ¿Sería?
What you see is the student, who gives or who follows or who does the exercise, not the teacher that is asking. So the dynamic changes. Another example is with collaborative writing. Most of you know Padlet or Learning App, or when the students have to write collaboratively in his computer or in their computer, then the student or the teacher or the instructor can project it. And then what we do, that for example, you have to read something that you haven't written. So we are reading everybody's work or writings. And then I can ask the students, okay, let's see, what is the group that can find more mistakes or some mistakes? And it's fun. So it's the challenge of finding mistakes. And you have to come here and to point or to write it. So this is in English. Right? And I would like you to do it. If I can do it. It's not very... Can you read it? Yes? So can you come here and try to find it? Like a living experience with the smartboard? It's my...
We need to find mistakes.
Yes,
In English?
in English. And to write it.
One thing to keep in mind is that the smartboard you can only use one user at a time.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens that we cannot take two at the same time, 2 pencils. So you have to wait. Exactly. Okay, now you leave it here. Wait, no? You have to leave. You can stay here and continue reading.
Cómo aprovechar, ¿no?
Yes, but it doesn't. Yeah, well, no? Injuries. Yes, it's yes. José Antonio, find something. Come here and try to fall down. What happened? What will you write?
You touch it with your pen.
No, no, you have to leave it here.
Borrador.
Delete. And then do it again.
Yo ahí ya no podría.
No,
uso la mano
no,
siempre. ¿Para borrar? Sí.
Yes. Why? Yes, or you can write things like this, no? Okay. Leave it here, and another one. Have you tried before? It's very easy to find mistakes. I make many. Because normally I write in Spanish and I try to do it on purpose.
Hey, that takes a minute.
That takes less than a minute. That's great. That's the good thing. Watched. Muy bien. Very good. So, okay, next exercise. Okay, everybody is ready? Like this. We continue. Well, and I have a student that always was like Angie, like, you have something there. Okay. Or someone comes to the lead. You know. We have to more. Or maybe it was not very good idea to, after the students have worked, they go and they correct the mistakes. And I have other exercise that is matching images and words. Most of you know it. And so the students have to work individually and they do this exercise. And then when you finish doing it, come here and everybody has to match the images. So, and remember that if you do this, you can check if it is correct or not and try again, okay? So what is it? Like this, no? So come here and everybody has to match. Yeah? Probably you guessed, and if not, so the classroom dynamic changes, no? And the student is more active.
Me lo ha cogido.
Check.
You don't need to check, okay? You are cheating.
One at a time.
Check. No. Everybody can work. Everybody can work. Don't worry. We can continue.
Yeah, no, I get. Well, the wood and the rain got air.
Este ya lo has hecho.
Nazo.
¿Tú?
Yo he hecho antes.
Muy bien.
Y además ir al orden.
It's a soap bucket.
Hay que saber de
How do you
Are you separated?
uncouple them?
In the middle. Touch in the middle, exactly.
Okay, so
Come on. So the more students we have, the better.
Does it get confusing anytime the student or
Never. It's the opposite. It's fun because they are touching and they are waiting. Sometimes they write at the same time and the image disappears. And it's fun, because it's more real. It's fun. And they love it.
Miraba si era rápido o no. Miraba si era
Yes.
rápido.
Sí que es. Mucho. It's my favorite.
Ah, no es la paper.
No.
Ah, pensaba que era el libro.
No.
Parece.
Sí.
No veo.
Paper is this?
Se pueden anotar.
Yes, exactly. Paper. Oh, there are a lot of words, right?
Sí.
I tell you, my students are faster.
what specific program do you use? to
Learning
make
apps. This is with learning apps. Seriously? Okay, we have two more, no? We have a couple of mistakes in here. Okay? Yes, we have one more exercise. So the same exercise with words and images can be done with it's a listening activity. You hear it and you have to match it. So it can be, this is for vocabulary, but we have the same for practicing the listening. The last exercise is matching words and definitions. This is an H5P activity that I don't know where it's so good. It wasn't a good idea to create the presentation on a blog. I should have used probably another. Wait, because it's too big. Can you see it like this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you come here and we are just dragging the words and trying to find the definitions. We are talking about feelings and something we are covering in Spanish, but I translate it into English. So let's find the definitions for the words. Again, normally the students do it before or they have to do it at home, and this is a good way to start the class. You just have the time.
No, I'm going. Voy,
I don't like, you try it, everybody has participated.
I could participate, but I'm discussing, my discussion grade is great.
Very good. Nice drawing. Okay, and we check it. A couple of mistakes. Very pleasant. If we click in here, show solution, we can see the feedback. And we can try it again as many times as we want at home. Any questions? Any ideas? For me, I tell you that it changed the way I teach, and I don't use it all the time, but sometimes there are groups that love it, you know, that love to be teaching and talking and not just...
A question. So, for example, maybe it's a stupid question,
No.
but you can do this with everything. For example, I sometimes make them write on a discussion post, and as you say, it's very difficult because I go one by one, but it's difficult to correct. Can they send the post, and we can correct it on the, or just it depends on the kind of program you use?
This is ideal. This is like this. Imagine, or
With
the
anything, I mean,
with
with
anything.
any-
They write this, and then we correct it, and we talk about the corrections. Or they have to write. Sometimes, you know, they write in here. It's more visual. For me, it's like, imagine that you see the book in here, and then you have always writing in here the answers of a book. It's just one possibility, and here we have, it's more clear. And for me as a student, it was like, of course, it makes sense. So
No, I would say, for instance, so I have never used it, so this is good ideas. One thing is to have like all of the students come and do one activity, so one way to have them move.
Mhm.
But another one is, yeah, they're like, you correct it, right? And then it's very efficient.
Yes.
Right?
We don't correct just the oral. Now we are correcting the writing as well in class, in every class if we want. Maybe we give them, we correct just one thing or one exercise, not all the time, like in the speaking. Okay, I think now is Frank.
Before my best friend is signing out, I wanted to make
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make one point clear, and that is that it's important to distinguish between the smartboard and its functionality and the software that's being displayed on it. The activities that Wally presented were not developed on the smartboard software. They're not native to the smartboard itself. We have to use a different platform for that. We did have a series of workshops showing or demonstrating, training how to develop those that are on our YouTube channel. Okay, this is simply to show you that what smartboard can, how a smartboard can facilitate these activities.
So picking up on that note, so we're talking about a few components. One is the hardware, the smartboard itself, and also it could be a smart screen. So it would be a little different what we can do. So in those cases, let's say that I had here a smart screen. So this is a Mac, I can have multiple desktops. So I have multiple desktops. In each desktop I have some information that's completely different to the other one. So when I go to Hamilton, for example, I have several boards. I just leave a board, I have another one, and you have information, and I'm limited there by the number of physical boards I have over there. Potentially I could have 20 boards here. I'd be using, this is a smart board, the smart screen that we have upstairs with 4 fingers, and just cycle between different desktops. So I could have potentially a lot of different screens over there with a whole bunch of information. So rather than just erasing the board, I could keep all the information and come back to them. But something that actually facilitates when we do this, or something that is a fork, like a platform. The other thing to take into consideration, the difference between that, the smart board and the smart screen, is the software itself that we're going to use. Right now I have a few activities developed for one software. This is the third time that I'm going to be using this software. So this is literally the third time that I'm actually using this one software. and hopefully things will go okay, and if not, we'll learn as we go along. So the guide that I'm using, I have here, you can see from Facebook. Okay. Right. So I already prepared this activity. I have all the information. So what we did before, I'm not going to do there. So I can perfectly go on this. We have here different guides, different things that we can use to create things. I can either erase something. If I click on this guy, I can get this on the hand and I move the entire thing. I can select each one of these guys. Or, as we did, for example, we click here and I create something. I can perfectly go there, type something, and then I have this information that I have right over here, which is what I did. So how do I use this? Well, there's a few samples from Spanish. Spanish has a verb root and different verb endings that allow me to see the information for different pronouns. So it's what the generative grammarians call a pro-drop language. I don't need a pronoun. So to me, this is useful to show how the conjugations operate. So it's as simple as that. This guy right here, I select it. This is my verb. I put here this guy. Okay. This is one type of conjugation in Spanish. This is the other type of conjugation in Spanish. This is my third type of conjugation in Spanish. So I do have one verb right here for the second type of conjugation. I can perfectly grab this guy and I show students how things work and how they're connected. Right? The one thing that we need to keep in mind with this, as I said, is the software and is the program. So right now, this guy right here, this guy, you can see that this guy goes all the way right up here. So when I try to move, right, I need to remind myself that this guy right here, this BED, it actually goes all the way down here. Right? So I get out of there, so go back to this. If I click here on this area, I'm moving that guy. Right? So I need to be mindful where the limits of this guy. So if I need to move this guy, I literally click right here. I need to remind myself where this object is. Right? So that is one thing to keep in track as you're actually using this platform. Clear so far? This exercise, are you all right? So I can create a few pages, and I have my exercises here. I move from one another, and also this is a way of having multiple screens, as I said, the same way as the other one. You potentially have a whole bunch of information here without deleting anything. Just go back and forth between 20 words if you want. Something else that I use. Well, so Spanish is a language where we do have a volition verb. If I do have a volition verb, or that this tends to be followed by a verb in the infinitive form. Right? So I do have here a few volition verbs that are good. Right? There you go. All right. And then I combine this, for example, buy, quiero comprar. Right? So it's a detransitive verb, for example. So I'm going to have my direct object. What do I want to buy? I want to buy una carta. And this carta is going to go to Maria. And I have holy quote. Right? So if I try to show my students how the direct object pronouns work, this scholar code will be my direct object. My indirect object pronoun will be my direct object pronoun. Spanish, as a synthetic language, allows a lot of movement. Right? So,
La, ¿no?
oh, thank you. Yeah, female. Perfect. Thank you. So if I want to show my students how I can move things around, I can substitute, right? I can perfectly say, okay, well, quiero comprar la tarta, quiero comprar esta. Right? Now, what happens in Spanish, actually, when we have this combination of things, right, we actually, your indirect object goes before the direct object, and this little guy, when it's followed by any of this guy, is substituted by this guy. So you can clearly see this. Right? As long as I remember what I said before, that happened right here.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait,
Yeah,
Spanish is fun.
she's on
It's a little tricky just to video there, but I can show them clearly how it goes at Dutch. If I want, in Spanish, this could perfectly go after the infinitive, but it could also go before the conjugated verb. So I can perfectly grab this guy, and go all the way down there. So they can clearly see how you put one thing and the other. Right? Clear?
instead of
I can have all the combinations that I want to do over there, work with direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, different combinations, gender, color code, different things, and they can see color code, and they can clearly see the movement, how it can go in one position into another.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Something else?
Can we write the accent when we,
Yeah, we could do this. Grab any of these guys and write something.
Because
Comprárselas.
Oh, comprarse.
Oh.
no, but we are explaining the accent before. No, I'm just asking if it's possible to combine them.
And where would that go?
In a,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Getting better.
Over there, right? Trying to combine
I
both.
have explained it before. I cannot forget.
Now, I did that because I asked, so if I move into another screen, I move into another screen like the one I have right here, so let's actually see it in a practical way, to keep the accent there. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that now if I go to page 3, you see, that it's still there. So it doesn't stay in one particular page when you use this. So something else that I use this for, right? I go over here. So Spanish is a synthetic language, right? It allows me to do a lot of movement, right? So basically, all these combinations in Spanish mean exactly the same thing. Namely, JC, this is the floor. This is an example that I use with my students. All these possible combinations, putting the object before, in the middle, all that means exactly the same thing. JC, this is the floor. Now, that happens because Spanish, well, the floor is definitely not going to kiss JC, so that's what it allows me to say, well, I don't need to signal what is the direct object pronoun, which in Spanish we signal by the preposition a. So if I do have another sample, which is one that I have over here, slow down, okay. Right. JC, this is Beyonce, right? That's what I do with my students. But I can perfectly say, oh, this is there. Where's the second page? This is so I can perfectly move this guy around and say, oh, got confused. As I said, third time I'm using this guy, so.
Oh, no.
Oh, geez.
Doesn't do that.
There's a muscle in there.
No, I don't know why.
Uh-oh.
If you do
Pero puedes
undo,
You broke it.
Undo this,
Undo
okay,
again.
perfect. So,
Undo is helpful.
so, so this guy is basically what allows in Spanish to let me know who's the subject and who is the object right now. So this sentence right now, JC besa Beyonce, is not clear who's doing the kissing. Anyone could be doing the kissing. A is what, in Spanish what allows me to show which one is the object. So I can perfectly say this. So let's do it, right? So this sentence right now means Beyonce kisses JC. Do this, and we go back to JC kisses Beyonce. Right? And this is something that I use with the students. And having the flexibility, moving these things around, it can actually show very clearly all the possible combinations you have in Spanish. In any other languages, it's very synthetic, where you can move things around. It's something that you can actually physically move things around, rather than just simply write things on the board and compare different combinations. You can actually move the entire thing. So, I think that's what I have for my part.
How do you do the reciprocal?
I actually hate to introduce a reciprocal pronoun over there and make the verb agree in plural. That, good question. JC.
Y.
That will work. Okay. So, yeah, you have the explanation right there, and the board allows me to do this.
So, once you do something like this, which is, I can see it very helpful here, right? Can you save this or take a snapshot or something such that you could post it on Canvas for your students later?
Yes, potentially, and actually this presentation, we did this on a completely different computer. So one thing that you can do is, I can go to show desktop and get anything off the internet, that's how I got the pictures. Put it there on the thing, save it as a file, and then you send that file to yourself. So potentially you can prepare all lessons and having all that prepared, just take it any place that you have a board. So you're teaching in this board, and let's say that you move into another classroom where you have exactly the same capability. You don't have to write anything else. Once you get to the classroom, you have already your lesson prepared.
Okay. And then the question was phrased poorly. So once you do the moving around and whatnot, right? So things are a little different than when you brought them in. There, I'm wondering, this new version, once students have put things in the right order and whatnot, is there a way to save that or take a snapshot of that and then bring it back?
Well, I can take a snap. I have a computer here, so
Yep.
I can take a snapshot the same way that it take a snapshot of
Oh,
the computer.
like a screen capture or something?
I make a screen capture.
I see,
and can-
okay.
The same way that if I'm using my computer.
But
Thank
you're
you,
also,
okay.
nope,
Save,
I can't
no?
really see them here. But what's the page size? Can you help me?
Preferences, multi-screen.
If you
Can I just
copy
add
paste,
If you want, you can take what you just did and all the things you've moved. You can then export that either as a PDF
Right.
or as an open board file, and that will contain all the changes.
Mm.
So then you effectively have two versions of that file. The first version is everything scrambled, and the second version, either as an open board format or a PDF, would be in order.
Got it.
Can you move this like before? No.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to type it before. You can explain and move it.
That depends with the software as well. There is another software. This was one other new capabilities. It isn't there, right? Yeah, right there. So for people like me that have a horrendous handwriting, unless everybody else's reading is really bad, then I can write and I can have the computer recognize my writing and type it into very nice letter. But that depends on the software that you use.
And this one? No.
This one doesn't have it,
Okay.
I believe, right?
Can we do the...
Handwriting recognition?
No,
No.
it's not this one.
Because the previous one, yes. Do we do the rest?
Was that?
We continue with the
Why? I
workshop?
don't know.
And that,
Okay.
those are just a
You
few samples.
prepare this using the computer, right?
No, I prefer this using this.
You mean the smartboard?
There actually was a smart screen.
Smart screen.
Yeah.
So this is not the application. This is the function of this.
So this is actually an application that is called Open Board that is installed on all the smart boards that we have here. It's a free piece of software.
Free. Oh, really?
That is used with the smart board.
Okay.
There are also obviously alternatives to it with different functionalities, different features, but we use Open Board here. And this was made with them.
Those are terms at the beginning, so it's an interaction between the hardware and the software that you do have that provide different enforcement.
So you have to prepare this where there is a smartphone.
No, you can
cannot
prepare it on a
on the-
computer.
You
You
can
can prepare it on a computer some things and bring it over and then transform it. Right? You need the software. Right? You
The
need
software cannot be used in your computer.
Simon, I believe it can now, right?
The software can be used
Yep.
on any computer, really, because what is essentially happening here is that it is running on the computer. It's just that the ability, this thing, this smart board itself allows you to use it as a
smartboard. But you can still put it on your computer, you can still operate it with the mouse, it's just it's not going to be touchscreen on your screen, unless of course you have a touchscreen screen. Good questions. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, and instead of talking to you about further applications and functionalities of this device, we thought that it would be useful to do a bit of a brainstorming. We do have 4 non-Spanish speakers, right? 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay. That will make 4 groups, and there's 12 of us, so let's have 4 groups of 3, each group containing 1 non-Spanish speaker. Okay, and you have a minute to...
Let me diversify.
Yes, bring it, bring it.
Jose Antonio, do you mind?
It's a brainstorm.
Okay.
I'm very teacher's mood.
What I have here is a printout of a really elementary, sort of basic English textbook, where there are a number of activities. I would like you to take a look at it. If there's anything that strikes you as easily adoptable for smartboard.
Thinking the smartboard, what would you choose? Proposals.
So choose one activity or maybe 2 activities if you would like, and sort of based on what you have seen here today, think about how that could be adopted.
I don't understand. I understand there's a principle to it. But what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to do? No, I understand. But I think we're supposed to like brainstorm on how we translate this into a whiteboard.
What do you mind?
Is that the idea?
How do you mind the using of the plane that you have the smartboard and you want to change something to bring another dynamic to it, no? Because they will change.
It can be.
And if it is possible, that implies that
But when you are very
it's not
proficient, you can easily
so
have a reference or something. Depending on the program you're using there.
I have one in my classroom and I use it as
They want
yes, there is something you have to
Because sometimes we correct and we assume that everybody is like following, and sometimes we see that they didn't correct properly.
Yeah, calibrate means this. You have to press these 2 buttons and just touching what you see. And there are some people that they don't use the smartboard because they don't know how to calibrate. If we don't calibrate, sometimes when we are writing in here, no, we are not writing, this happens in here.
Yeah.
This means that it's not calibrated. So it's important maybe every time that
How do you
calibrate,
every time they
Two
stand,
fingers
just stand
like this,
instead of waiting for
it
the
appears.
or waiting for
and just touching.
you know, just
You can
making it fresh.
I have seen forms. What is calibration? Just tell me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too but it's so competencia, ¿no? Like, who understands first.
Yo supongo que el propio sistema de tener una serie de humanos, they were asking, she was asking what is calibrate is. So I think that it's some type of magnetic, and so at times the board is out of sync with the magnetics, and so you need to get all the magnetics in sync.
Yeah, so on the one hand, that's so good. I mean, I share something. We have some other
Otherwise,
With the matching.
I didn't realize you're going to there.
however,
And actually,
I can imagine the same
exercise.
before there was boards.
Because from what I've noticed, most of the time we use Sam showed us how he's using for grammar explaining, but Lily was talking about how to correct exercises altogether, right? Pen and paper. So maybe in this case, instead of like maybe if you correct this in class, reading exercise, how can you project it on the smart board and then I don't know, have students go to the board and write it down, or I don't know.
But it may translate into a learning difference insofar as those
For classes in the
up in their chairs. So if you have this one which statement
I teach Portuguese, and we have the same thing directly in the director you do any
or even using a classical board. And you know, when you feel sometimes you're a little slower and can get, you know, to freeze. So for me, I still think it's better. That's me. Lo siento, Fran.
Yeah, maybe the point is like that classroom can, you know, atmosphere or maybe like more dynamic or something. In another way.
In my experience,
No, we don't brand
the
that
ones
very
that work
exponential.
better.
That we don't try to
you a lot.
We can make them move around.
as it's a phonetics.
Okay,
The one thing that I don't think you can do with the
Who wants
PowerPoint
to share what you have
to
to
move
do?
the elements in that
Well, you
exercise.
can move, but you need to mark it before.
advance.
Okay, so let's see what we could, or what our ideas are that we discuss and came up with, how we could possibly adopt some of these activities for smartboard needs. If it is also possible that some of these activities are just not adoptable, or the adoption may not bring out anything, or may not take advantage of the affordances of the smartboard, and that is okay too. We don't have to be using technology because it's there. Sometimes pen and paper is. So who would like to go first?
Volunteers or group by group?
Or should we volunteer you? Chris.
Well, we noticed a number of activities here were matching activities, and we saw already how easy and nice it was to do that with the smart app there. So several of these could be converted that way.
Okay. I mean, that's an issue. The possibility of
Visual component.
Could you tell us more? So, could you maybe give us an example of an activity that you looked into?
So the first one that we have here is, it says what kind of food or dishes would you associate with this country? So it has a list of countries, and so, I mean, you can read this all, but if you already have pictures of different types of foods, then you can match.
Okay, so with the start of the class with this, instead of, okay, go to the wall and point, and you are inside, to the outside.
Okay.
Maybe that group in the back, since you guys are very
Talkative?
very talkative.
They are not here.
We are waiting for you.
Simon is asking us.
Oh, we.
You are in las nubes.
No, we're not. We're like completely here. We're just in like a deep discussion here.
Yes.
So tell us what you're discussing.
Why not?
Let me elaborate just to.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe another group.
No.
We've been discussing too. So.
Yeah.
And what you discuss?
Well, the thing is, most of these exercises can do in any of the examples that you showed us. The one thing that we are thinking is, first of all, there are not that many classrooms in Colombia with smartboards.
Yes, that's true.
So I guess it would be a good idea to start convincing the university to put smartboards.
But sometimes you wonder, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And I think that if we start petitioning for more, if we see that indeed this has, a good repercussion in our classes, then we can request for more. You know,
Ah, yeah. And
because if we don't push the administration and we tell them we really need it, we want them, you know, they're not going to do it.
no, and so I think that's great. But you see how long it took to get Wi-Fi in
Oh, God,
Hamilton,
In
in Hamilton and Pupin.
I know.
But
They
in any
wanted-
event, yes.
They wanted the department to pay for it.
Before we go that route, I would like to remind everyone that this is being recorded.
Well, can you listen on this and like do
This is how we
something
talk.
about it? That's
Just-
not bad.
Constructive
Couldn't say how much.
Yeah.
criticism.
It's about.
So far, so just
Yeah.
so everybody remembers.
So
Criticism is
whoever
good.
is listening, we want more smart boards.
Smart boards,
Yeah,
more smart boards.
And
Jose Antonio.
chairs that the computers don't fall off, so whoever is listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of these exercises and some seem more interesting, at least to me. The one because in Portuguese as well, we have direct and indirect object pronouns and how to
Place.
be able to move them and place them and move them around and show them. So I think that's all of these exercises could.
So you don't necessarily see any ways in which this piece of hardware could facilitate or enhance your instruction?
That was one of the things that we were talking, Elsa and I, and I think my students move around and do a lot of things without these kinds of things. And one of the things that is kind of a problem with the smart boards is that if something goes wrong, then you are without a class, because that's what you had done.
That's what you're banking.
You had made the whole thing, and then you have to go back to the.
So then you prepare two whole sets of materials.
Right, no, I mean,
for
but
every
this
class.
is an important consideration. If technology fails, then, and if you don't have a backup plan, then you're kind of, what do I do? Yeah, it's just like something to think about for sure.
But it's as a visual, it's great.
The visual component is definitely good. Definitely good.
And the visual, I mean, because sometimes it's just the visual, the matching can be, I mean, but then I agree also that this exercise is visual and conceptual at the same time. No, this exercise of the objects, because you visualize it, but it helps you conceptualize. In other occasions, it's just adding a dynamic component that, as you say, you can also do it in many other ways.
We have other dynamics, but one more. This one more that it,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
me it levels the students at the same
Just
level
to
as
change
the
also
teacher.
and to do something different.
It's more.
I'm struck, so there was kind of an opening presumption in our group that that put the burden of proof on the whiteboard. That said, prove to me how you're doing things with the whiteboard that can't be done otherwise. Fair enough. But I mean, if we flip that on its head and said, look, we have these whiteboards that are also smart now. How can we engage them in a way that's different? I mean, you could make the same arguments for, say, colored pens versus all black pens, right? Is there really something you do with colored pens that you can't do with all black pens?
Or
No,
computer
of course
versus
not,
typewriter.
right? You can underline certain.
Kind of, yeah.
But people aren't arguing against smart colored pens, right? So I wonder here, and this is what we were starting to do in our group and what I took our assignment to be, we have more functionality than we have on a traditional whiteboard here. Is there a way that we can demonstrate things differently or create a new kind of group dynamic with this technology that we couldn't do on that plain old whiteboard over here? Now, we didn't get there yet,
That's
but
the question. We were discussing.
I think beginning with that positive, let's create things rather than knock down every suggestion that might be helpful. Yeah.
What about this group here? Because I don't want to be, it's already after 5 o'clock, yes.
We were thinking about, for example, this text that is about famous cheating moments in sport, creating 3 categories and giving them the choice to match the picture with the name of the sport and together with the description of the event, and within the description of the event rearrange the text and order it in the right way. So, yeah.
But we were thinking that we might want to edit that image so that it's not the whole thing, we'll just take out part, so we
Yeah,
can
not
focus in.
much of a giveaway.
Yeah, and there's less noise. But I wanted to add, Simon, if anybody
here has an additional 5 minutes after this. Simon and I are, we both work at the LRC, and one question that we have is, these smart screens are due to be replaced in these rooms downstairs. And we're wondering if we want to stick with the smart screen or a smart projector or move to a smart screen. And there's a smart screen upstairs that if anybody has a few minutes we could take a look at, just to get some feedback from you as to which one, which one you tend to think is better. So if anybody has a few minutes after this. You'll have to come and see.
One difference that I mentioned before is that, for example, with a smart screen, I can. So here, if I wanted to move between multiple desktops, I need to go to my computer rather than to choose the multiple controls. The smart screen actually allows you to move kind of like with your computer, and the glare is different. Here, something is being projected onto the screen, but from the smart screen, something light is coming out.
Yeah, and we had shadows at one point.
Well, but I think that this one has a problem, that is a little brighter. This one specifically.
And Chris, correct me if I'm mistaken, but also the problem of calibration doesn't operate the same way as the smart screen. Depends.
So not to hold everybody here for too long, I'm going to move forward with the remainder of our slides, and this goes directly to what Chris just asked you. If you could give us a little bit of feedback, given the opportunity, would you prefer to teach in a smart classroom? That is the question. The answer might be obvious or intuitive, but some of you may not want to teach in smart classrooms. Some of you may not see any utility in that. And we would like to know, get some sort of feedback from people who are gathered here. It's solely anonymous.
I've proven that you can ignore them if you want to.
Okay, 12 people in the room, 5 questions so far. Everyone.
Well, I started the first years with the smartboard. I used it as a projector, and it took me a while to work, to feel more confident. Like it took me a lot.
Well, to me, unless I find a way to really do something dynamic, different, better, beyond the visual part, which is definitely, I think we can all agree, it's amazing. I don't wanna learn to calibrate just to do the same and a little more.
To me, for me, it's such an effort.
Yeah, it's too much. It's so much.
I have an smart. I'm like, I need to
back.
go earlier.
Without thinking too very complex, just from the top of my head, I can think, for instance, of those activities that we do on our PowerPoint, where we have to match things that are moving around. Well, maybe we can transform them here, and they are the ones matching them, coming them to match one simple one, no? Instead of us saying, oh yes, I don't know, this is one.
Well, this is ideal if we already have interactive activities in our classes, just for sure.
But I mean,
you already have
this
it.
one that is interactive, yes, it is interactive, but in the end, it is me controlling the keyboard. Well, here they can come, and then it's one option. But it's one option among many, no? Then you can do it this way, among other ways.
Well, very good comment. Overwhelming majority, I'm just trying to push things along. So the majority of people responded, very good. That is the last slide that we have. Yes?
So just one follow-up question there. For instance, one of the reasons that, or one thing that I would like, it would be to be able to have many students write at the same time. It's one of the drawbacks that I see.
Yes, that is certainly,
And maybe they can get
and this is not something that we can do here. It is a functionality that would, well, I don't want to make any promises, but noted. Okay, if there are no more, are there any other questions, comments? Yes,
The smart screen that we're gonna see now, that has that functionality that several people being able to write at the same time?
To quote Chris, you'll have
Let's
to.
No, please, 'cause I can't come. Can you say real
Okay.
quick?
So the answer is the answer is yes and no. So in terms of the hardware, yes, but the software that you use does not detect multiple inputs.
I see. All right, thank you. That's great.
So if you guys want to go upstairs.